So Mob Psycho 100 has finally returned, and I have to say, coming out of episode 1 of season 2, it makes me feel like the last season, which was a couple of years back, just finished last week, as this episode kind of did a little bit of everything that I remember from the first season, and also introduced some interesting new development for our new character, Emmy here, and I really liked this episode. It was fun, kicking off the episode in such a Reagan fashion, showing us once again why he's one of the scummiest and best characters we can follow in any given anime season when we know Mob Psycho is going to be airing. I love it. Everyone loves Reagan for a reason, because he's that kind of guy who everyone knows we shouldn't enjoy because he is just a manipulator. He uses our boy Mob. He really is just the ultimate con artist, but you can't help but love him because he just has that smile, he has those reactions, and he comes up with the most ridiculous plans ever. And I just thought, starting off the episode where he's like, give me 30% of your crop and I'll take care of this paranormal activity going on, but really we always know that Mob's gonna be the one to take it out. That's exactly how a season 2 should start. Just get us right back into the swing of things, showcasing that Reagan charm, showcasing Mob really being a badass after all the development he got with his powers in the first season. You're really seeing some interesting things with the overall power system while just being damn fun. The fights in this show have always just been a blast to watch because they look so goddamn gorgeous. They're creative, they're visually interesting. You look at a Mob Psycho 100 fight and it's not going to look like anything in the past few years unless you're looking at the previous season of Mob Psycho 100, because the way the colors are used, just the vibrancy, imagery, just the creative lines and how they're kind of warped around to really give you this unnatural feeling, because this is Esper, psychics, monsters, paranormal stuff, so it should look really weird in comparison to the general shots. I love it so much. It was such a creative fight, and I like seeing Mob kind of learn how to use his abilities a bit differently thanks to a baddie that he was fighting. The ability of kind of controlling the plants and actually being able to accelerate their kind of growth, which of course for a man like Reagan would be another business opportunity if it didn't taste like absolute garbage. Like, the first little chunk, I was like, if this is what we're gonna get for the first episode of season 2, I'm on board. If it's just gonna be fun, not really pushing the boundaries, I was going to be okay and have a pleasant time. But the Emmy stuff really took me by surprise. Honestly, Mob getting a girlfriend, I was like, okay, I'm on board. Let's see where Mob's gonna go here. But really, I should have never trusted the love letter. And of course, it had to be a bet that it was like, oh, let's just play Mob and kind of tease Mob's feelings. But what I do appreciate is how they didn't keep her as just that stereotypical, I'm going to use the kid who's easy to make fun of, but actually she's someone who's just hanging out with the wrong crowd, and ultimately Mob shows her the way. So I'm really interested where the two's relationship will go, as it seems like she's gonna start writing a novel about Mob, because Mob really has shown her a new way to look at life, where before she was just hanging around kind of shitty people who really were like making fun of her dreams, and she had to play it off as she was just like, oh no, I'm not actually writing this. This was just something because I was bored. Like, that's kind of high school life in a nutshell, is you kind of fall into the wrong crowd sometimes and you really are afraid to express yourself, where Mob, even though he's an easy target for people to pick on, the poor guy goes up on stage for 5 minutes, doesn't even say a word, but he still gets back on that horse and tries again. And so I think the two might be able to bring out some interesting things in one another if they do pursue that relationship further. I really liked it. I mean, they started her off, I was like, oh, this is kind of a sweet relationship, to, oh man, she's screwing around with our boy Mob, we can't like this girl, to then 2 minutes later being like, nope, she's a sweetheart, we absolutely want to follow this character more in season 2. That kind of end reveal, especially when Mob showing her his psychic powers, like, there was something that it kind of gave me butterflies. Honestly, it was just this very sweet moment, because Mob's this kind of pushover, someone who gets used. I mean, his kind of best friend is literally a con artist who uses his abilities for his own self-gain while literally paying him in seeds half the time for his job. So it's nice to just see Mob take action for himself, saying, you know what, I'm going to start expressing my feelings. I may have been used by this girl, but honestly, she said some truthful things. I'm going to start expressing myself, and I'm saying that this book is worth reading. That was nice. Starting the episode off in such a familiar fashion, really showcasing that Mob Psycho 100 fun, but ending it with such a really interesting development for our boy Mob. This is what a first episode should do. Over the course of this week's episode, we saw so much familiarity from past episodes in the first season, but ending it on such an emotional high note really is showing us that Mob Psycho 100, it is back and is going to do some interesting things. I'm sure the powers and the way the fights are going to be explored is going to be amazing. The opening has to be one of the most visually interesting, probably will be opening of the season just for those visuals. The song's good, but the visuals, holy hell, I thought there's no way that they were going to be able to match the quality of the first Mob Psycho opening. They did. It was absolutely stellar. But just the familiarity, the cult trying to use Mob once again, like, they're sprinkling in enough where you can see where the course of the season is probably going to go. You're going to have that con artist Reagan charm, you're going to have the cult kind of try to use Mob, rise him to the top, but then you might might also have a romance starting to brew here. There's a lot that this season is clearly going to go for, and I think it's going to be a damn fun time. The voice acting, the music, the just really, it made you have a fun time. You turn on Mob Psycho, you know, I'm going to have a very fun time at the very least. When Mob Psycho is at its lowest, it is fun. And that's always an entertaining time. But the fact that they ended it on such an interesting and new moment for Mob, this is like I'm proud of Mob here. You know, Mob gets pushed around so much. I'm proud of the guy and what he was able to express his feelings in such a very uncomfortable situation. I was very proud of the boy, and that's the type of stuff that you hope to see an episode end off. Like, if you want to get people back into your season after it's been a couple of years, yeah, start us off with something familiar, something fun, something to get the ball moving. Then showcase maybe a little bit like, hey, the cult's gonna use Mob, try to rise him to the top. He can be student council president. No, he can't. But then ending it with such an emotional character moment for Mob and really showcasing his growth, I'm really excited for the character progression of Mob in this season. I think it's going to be damn fun. The spirits and what he's going to fight is going to be absolutely unnatural and unbelievable with just such great visuals. Mob Psycho is back, and it is such a fun episode. Let me know whatever you thought of Mob Psycho 100 Season 2. Did you love it as much as myself, or was it a bit of a letdown for you? Let me know whatever you're feeling, and be sure to like the video if you did enjoy, and also hit that subscribe button if you want some more content from me in the future. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.